Welcome to the Back 9 Six-Pack with Mitch and Justin. Let's roll.
Hello and welcome to episode 139 of the Back 9 Six-Pack. Tonight we'll be talking some ball. It is football season in a way. We got some RBC Heritage recap, a little bit of LIV Golf, grave dancing maybe, before we head to the patio. But my name is Mitch, joined as always by my esteemed colleague Justin. Draft season is upon us. I feel alive right now.
Yeah, it kind of came up pretty quick, actually.
Yeah.
I just when is I literally Sunday, I was like, when is the NFL draft? And I'm like, shit, it starts Thursday. I didn't even think it was already, the third week of April that we're starting in here. So, but yeah, it came up really quick.
Yeah, I think it's weird for me because the draft doesn't start till Friday now all of a sudden. As a Bengals fan,
hey, same with me, bud. We neither of our teams had first round picks this year.
That's
so
right. Yeah, the Micah Parsons deal. Yep.
But we can get into this a little bit later. I think for the best, actually. I think they were both going to turn out to be solid moves.
Yeah, we can get into it now unless you got something else off the top here.
No, I don't.
Okay, me either. Then yeah, thank you all for listening. Please subscribe, rate, and review the show. Follow us on social media at Back9 Six-Pack. The Bengals, unprecedented move. I think they hadn't made a trade of a first round pick since 1995 was what I saw. They go ahead and make the deal with the Giants, send the 10th overall pick to acquire Dexter Lawrence, sign him to a 1-year extension, so they got him for 3 years, paying him less money than what Trey wanted. Feels like a massive win in my book.
Yeah, and I think we're in the same boat on this. I think my reasoning behind it, number one, I think if you could guarantee that Sony Styles or Caleb Downs would be at 10, I think it's you probably don't make this move, right? But it pretty seems like a consensus at this point that neither of those guys are going to be at 10.
Yeah.
So now, to me, you're going to be stretching for something, right? You're gonna stretch because you have needs. So now you're going to stretch for a guy that maybe is like a 25 to 30 guy, but you don't have a pick back there. Maybe you try to trade back, but you would end up stretching for a guy. So I think with that being said, it's a great move. I don't get the backlash from the media that the Bengals are getting because the number one thing is what? They don't try, right? They don't try to make moves of all-in moves, right? They don't ever do that. They have Joe Burrow. They're not trying to win now. And it's then they finally do it and they take shit for it. So I'm it's a lose-lose situation. It truly is.
Yeah. It's, when you run your organization a certain way for so long, you obviously have a reputation for, being cheap and, you're drafting these guys because you prefer the cheap money and the control and whatever, instead of making a deal or a big signing like this. So yeah, you're going to catch a little flack, but I don't get the backlash either, just from a pure, what they got perspective. You got a 28-year-old, all pro type level defensive tackle when your defense up the middle was absolutely gutted for the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
They still got trouble at linebacker and all that, but when you got a guy like Dexter Lawrence, that makes up a lot.
Well, especially in the run game, your linebackers don't have to be that good in the run game now. That clogs up a lot in the middle, right? They just got to probably be average, for their defense to kind of be good against the run. And, my second thing too is the Bengals were going to fuck that pick up.
100%.
And here's the thing is the problem with draft picks, right? At least from the fan side of things. Number one, now the excitement's not there, right? You're not going to see a pick on Thursday, right? And number two, fans highly overvalue draft picks.
Definitely.
It is zero guarantee, right? To me, it's do you take a chance on a draft pick or do you get a known commodity, right? He's a known, what you're going to get, right? That you draft some guy at 10, you're assuming he's going to be good. There's no guarantees at that point.
Yeah, 100%. I think I saw there was somebody that posted the bust rate or whatever by pick, and the 10th pick has a 40-something% bust rate.
Yeah.
And then it's
kind of no
less
man's land, to be honest with you.
It really is, because you're missing out on like the blue chip guys, and then you're kind of like you said, you're in that range where it's like, okay, you either reach for a guy you really like, or you just take the quote unquote best player available. Oftentimes that tends not to work out.
Yeah, and the other thing is a lot of media has compared it to like, well, why didn't you just pay Trey then? First off, different positions.
Yeah,
way different positions. Like they're on the line, but like totally different, responsibilities, right? And number two, and this might sound like, oh, it's only 4 years difference. 4 years in football is a lot. You're getting a 28-year-old, not a 32-year-old.
Yep.
You're getting a 28-year-old. Well, he did play all the games last year. It sounds like he dealt with some injury. I think it was a lot of carryover from the previous injury he had the year before with his elbow. Probably, how it is. Like you have an injury and you kind of like favor, not certain things, and like until you're like completely used to it, like playing like I'm not injured anymore, right? So I think some of that for last, but 4 years younger, I mean, it's a huge difference. And Trey has not exactly been healthy himself, So
No,
I just don't understand the comparisons that I'm seeing some of these people that, frankly, I thought knew football, right? And it's like, how am I only like? And then you'll see people in the comments thinking the same way I do, right? It's like, dude, he's like, that dude's over 30 years old. Like the shelf life of that is like maybe 35, like if you're lucky. And then he signed a 4-year deal with the Ravens.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, dude, it's crazy. So I felt like I was going nuts reading all this, and it's like, I don't know. I think the Bengals, I think both teams won, right?
I agree.
They couldn't afford him. The Bengals needed someone like that. They, Bengals ended up signing him to a 1-year extension, so they got him locked up for 3. I think both teams won. I don't think it's like, oh, they won and they didn't, right? Like I think both teams got exactly what they needed to get.
No, and there's so many angles you could take this from too. Like you said, the Bengals historically have struggled to draft defensive players specifically in the first round and develop them.
Yeah.
And it's just a situation where like, you get the Ravens, they try to pull off the Max Crosby trade, right? They go 2 first-round picks. People are slurping that deal.
A guy that's coming off a torn ACL, by the way.
100%. And then you got, the Bengals try to make this move, stabilize the center line. Trey, also a bit of a malcontent. Like, he was not happy here. He threw a fit a year after signing a brand new deal. Like, there's Lauren, he's coming in fresh start. Seems like an absolute dog. You just watch his interviews. He's a mountain of a man. Like, dude, you just see him, you're like, holy shit. Like,
just like, and it's not fat. It's just like thick.
Yeah.
It's like, like, look, I love BJ Raji, who used to play for the Packers.
Yeah.
That dude was fat. And they played the same position. Like, Dexter Lawrence is not fat. Like, it's pretty much all human in there. Like, almost zero fat.
Yeah, there's a famous, the now famous Warren Sharp tweet where he listed out like all the defensive tackle pressures for the last, like, I think since 2001 or something. And it was like Dexter Lawrence had like 100 something, and the next closest guy was 30 something with Vita VA.
Yeah.
It's like you're getting a guy who is there to clog the middle, but he can also just like push offensive linemen back into the quarterback and create pressure too. So you're kind of getting like best of both worlds with him.
Yeah.
You're not getting a 17 sack guy, but
here's the thing is like, when I think of a nose tackle, first and foremost, I'm like, how are they against the run? Because that's all that really, that's like 80% of what matters with a nose tackle, right? If you're clogging up the middle and making it hard for teams to run. Secondary to that is like sack numbers, pressure numbers. Those guys generally, I mean, we kind of get spoiled with the people we've seen like Aaron Donalds of the world and stuff like that get sacks from that position. But realistically, the nose tackle's there to just muck things up, make it easier for the guys coming off the edge.
Yeah. You got guys that are going to have one-on-one matchups now because he's taking 2 guys.
Yeah.
And if you look at the division,
oh yeah, that was going to be
Steelers might be running it back with a 40-year-old quarterback. The Ravens just lost their center with a weak interior line, and the Browns are the Browns, and you got probably Shadur Sanders starting. So like those 6 games, like he's a game changer in those games.
Well, and if you look at some people are pointing to like his numbers being down last year. Like if you look at the division he was in, those teams have some of the best offensive lines.
And he's still doing what he does. Yeah.
and he's still doing what he does. And he's coming to a division that just the offensive lines. I mean, when you start seeing people like saying the Bengals offensive line is far and away the best offensive line in the division, and the Bengals did play better on the offensive line last year. But I'm just saying, like, coming from what they were to like now they're saying like they are far and away the best offensive line in the division. Seems like he's going to eat. Like, it just kind of feels that way.
Yeah, I mean, he's healthy. He's even last year when he's dealing with the nagging injuries, or the year before or whatever, I saw a lot of like the on-off splits with him on the field versus off. And the Giants were like the worst defense in the league with him off, and they were top 10 in like every category with him
on the field. Yeah.
So it's a massive upgrade for what has been just an absolutely desolate unit for the Bengals for the last 2 seasons. So yeah, definitely excited about that as a fan. We can get into some of the other moves too, just from the offseason. So free agency wise, the Bengals, they add Boye Mafe from the Seahawks, seems like an ascending pass rusher. You get some stability in the secondary with Brian Cook from the Chiefs, who's played a lot of big games. A couple other notable ones. Jonathan Allen past his prime for sure, but like that's a pro you're bringing in that's playing a rotation with Hill and Lawrence and all that. Like that's an upgrade from what they've had. And then a guy like Kyle Duggar, who had a lot of hype and had a really good like first year or two in the league and kind of fell off. But again, that's a depth piece in the back end where, we were throwing out undrafted guys, 6-round picks, like all that kind of stuff. So still, I just like what they've done with the free agency in the offseason here so far. They bring back Flacco as the Burrow insurance policy. You re-up Orlando Brown, who hopefully gets it back after some injury years. And then you bring back Reisner on a 1-year deal, who played really well when he was healthy last season.
Yeah, I thought he was a big bring back. I think, especially it seemed like anything like 1-year deals, that is so team friendly, right?
Yeah.
Like, you suck, we're not tied to you for the next 2 or 3 years, right? Mm-hmm. So I like the fact that they brought him back on a 1-year deal. It's like surprising. I thought maybe he'd try to go out with some of the success he's had, healthy, and try to get some kind of multi-year deal. But good for the Bengals for bringing him back. And again, team friendly. 1 year is nothing, really.
Yeah, I think too. And there was some addition by subtraction here too, right? Like a lot of bad vibes with some of these guys. So they let go of Trey Hendrickson, Cam Taylor-Britt, see ya, Geno Stone, see ya. And then Joseph Asai left, who was starting to play better, but good for him getting a big money deal. I just feel like from an outside perspective, someone that watches this team closely, they've kind of gone back to that like 2021-22 formula where it was like, you just had dudes and like good vibes guys. Like they've shed some of the fat on the roster while also bringing in some like I said, pros type guys.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't have much else to add on the Bengals. The last thing I guess I'll say, because fans just like to bitch, but like at the end of the day, when you look back the last few years, I know the last 2 have been frustrating coming off of the Super Bowl run and the AFC Championship run, but like, they sold the naming rights to the stadium so they could pay Joe Burrow. They signed Jamar Chase. They signed T. Higgins. They make this deal for Dexter Lawrence. Like, they're in a win now mode. And I think making this move to trade this pick was indicative of that, finally, of all. And so I don't think there's much we can really say unless they really fuck up this draft. And like, I don't care if they draft all linebackers and secondary players. They could draft.
You don't need any offensive players, really. I mean,
no.
You can maybe take a flyer on an offensive lineman, maybe assuming that after this year, Reisner's not back. You know, maybe give them a year to kind of develop under those guys, maybe. But other than that, it should be all on the defensive side of the ball for sure.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. It feels like they've had a good offseason. Need health obviously, but feels like things are moving in the right direction, and they did some stuff that we've as fans have been asking. I think we're at a point where we can't complain, and with all the scary talk around Burrow last year and even trade rumors swirling and all that kind of stuff, like this was the time to do it, and I'm just glad they did it.
So before we move on to the Packers, I've got a question for you, and I think I know the answer to this, right? But I think with the route the Bengals are going, obviously, like it's like they kind of see they felt like their door might have been closed a little bit, but now they see the garage doors open, right? Like, you've got new coaches and all this stuff. As a fan, would you trade? Like, they just kind of get a little irresponsible, right? And maybe go pick up another piece or something like that on draft night or whatever it might be. Would you trade 5 or 6 more, maybe say 7 more down years after this year, but you win a Super Bowl this year? I think you take that trade, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, hell, I think it could be even 10 years. Like, it'd be like, give me my Super Bowl. I'll deal with it in the next 10 years.
I kind of think it's a weird comp, but because it's a little different how they did it. But like, I want to take the Rams approach.
That's exactly. Hey, we're gonna win a Super Bowl. We're gonna suck for a couple years, and then we're gonna be like, all right, it's like a building process back to that, and like maybe in year 5 after the Super Bowl, we're back, right?
Yeah, it's like sell the picks off to cash in on a Super Bowl. You still have the main core of your guys, and then if you make the right moves and you get lucky with a couple picks and all that kind of stuff, you can be right back there.
Well, and my thinking behind it, and again, there's no guarantee, right? Like, you do all this stuff and sell off the picks, and you don't win a Super Bowl. I get that, right? I think most decent fans of any team, right? If you go out and go balls to the wall to try to win a Super Bowl, and you're picking guys up, and you're showing like initiative to like put together a roster that's going to go out and win a Super Bowl, and say you lose in the Super Bowl or you lose in the NFC AFC Championship, to me, it's kind of hard. I know as a fan, the most upset I've been with the Packers is where they'll lose in the NFC Championship. It's like, we just didn't fucking do enough. Like, just a couple more pieces, right?
Yeah.
But if they go balls to the wall, you're like, look, we threw our best product out there, and it just wasn't the year, right? I think you can live with that more. I've dealt with it just with the Packers and big QB contracts, right? Where it's like, God, man, if we could have like 1 or 2 more pieces, right? Or if we could have had this, but we just don't have the room for it. But it just felt like there was no initiative in the front office to do it. That's where it's kind of like you kind of like have some regret of like what could have been. But I think if your team goes out and like does what the Rams does, right? They see their window, they go balls to the wall, figure out how to get the best roster on the field to try to make a run to the Super Bowl. If it doesn't happen, you reset and try it again. Start building towards the next window.
Yeah, if there's one thing that the Bengals have proven, if Joe Burrow is healthy, they will have an elite offense. Like, they're gonna have a really good freaking Jamar T, all that. Like, you just have to have stability on the other side of the ball. They finally made the investment to get that. After some down years and some mistakes made with some picks and some signees and all that.
Yeah. So I think the Bengals are in a really good spot. If they can just keep certain guys healthy with their division, I mean, I think as it shakes out now, if they don't win the division, it'd be a gigantic disappointment.
Yeah.
And I think it's almost to the point where it's like, if you don't make a showing in the AFC Championship, it feels like something went drastically wrong or injuries, right? Like one of those two things. But man, it's like even last year, the last 2 years with injuries, it's like they're kind of right there, right? It's like, how many games did Joe Burrow miss last year? And it was like, you're sitting in like week 15 or 16, you still had a chance, right? So it's like, if we can just get him to stay healthy for an entire year again, I'd like to see that. I'd just 1 year.
100%. I agree. All right, we'll move on to your Packers now. This is a laundry list of moves.
I knew it was going to be a tough year for us. A lot of people coming up on contracts and just not the money there to re-sign people. Guys that were going to get big contracts too, right?
Yeah, I'll let me run through the departures first. I feel like that's the right place to start with the Packers.
For them. Yep.
Yeah, so Dobbs is gone.
Didn't hate that too much. Kind of didn't have they picked him up to come in and be the one. He just never really kind of amounted to anything.
Yeah, so he's gone. They also trade Dontavian Wicks and pick up a couple late rounders from the Eagles.
That hurt me a little bit. I'm a big Wicks guy.
Yeah, that's tough, especially with the injuries you've dealt with in the wide receiver room, but we can tackle that. Then Elgton Jenkins, that was a contract injury type thing, right?
Yeah, if he could have gone back to like even 90% of what he was the first couple years, you probably re-sign him. he just hasn't. He'd been injured and kind of came back. And he just never got back to what he was the first couple years of his contract, or after they drafted him. So as much I like him, as much as I hate it, it kind of was like he kind of has to go, right? Like it's just time.
Quay Walker out the door at linebacker feels a little. That. Me either. Always a shithead. I'm good with him off the defense. Along with Kingsley Enagbare.
That's the one that hurts. I mean, he's a stud. I mean, but you saw how he played last year, and you're like, there's just no way they're not going to be able to afford him, right? He's just going to get a contract offer that they're going to be in the ballpark of, or what they can actually offer. So.
Yeah, Nate Hobbs also out the door, and then Malik Willis signs the big deal with Miami to be their starter. That one hurts a little bit with Jordan Love's injury history, but I think, it's not like they were going to pay him to sit on the bench. So.
Yeah, I was going to say, you kind of saw the way he played the last couple of years with Jordan Love out, in those games, you're like, as soon as he gets as soon as he's done with his contract, he's gone. Someone's seen enough to this guy's going to be our starting quarterback.
Yep. So also should say they trade away Rashawn Gary, which sounds like something else you were a fan of.
Yeah, he just he had that injury I think 2 years ago and just never got back to what he was. It's sad. He had the first couple of years you're like, damn dude, this guy is he's a stud. Let's get the 5 years out of him, and the last 3 years of his contract just. After they drafted him, just got injured, just never got back to the pre-injury form. And it showed last year more than anything, especially with Parsons out. It's like, you got this guy, if he goes back to playing the way he was, and he just never did.
Yeah. Well, the good news is they get a 4th rounder out of Gary for next year. This year they got an extra 5th from the Eagles and the extra 6th next year. So a lot of departures, but opportunities in the mid rounds to snag some depth and some pieces that could flash, especially on the line, I would imagine.
Yeah, I hated the Wicks thing, but they need picks, right? You don't have a first round pick. You need draft capital in the other rounds, and again, you just drafted a guy in the first round last year, a wide receiver. If he's anything like you think he's going to be, you don't need Wicks, right? Right. You don't need Dobbs. I love Dobbs too, but you don't need Dobbs either. A golden, Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, those guys, if they are what you think they are, you don't need these other guys, right? You don't need to pay wide receivers. So
then you get hopefully a healthy Tucker Kraft for next year too. And that's the thing. They still have a ton of talent in the receiving core. It was just almost like they had too many options. I think taking some of the options away from LaFleur is a good thing too.
Oh, I think so too, because, had some injuries in that last playoff game, right? And kind of opened the door for Golden to kind of come in and make some plays. And you get the ball in his hands and he scores the touchdown. It's I think he was just, I think part of it was okay, he's a rookie, and I've got Dobbs, and I've got, I got guys like Dontavian Wicks, who's kind of just a go get it, right? Throw it up there, go get it. It's I just think that LaFleur was he was going with known commodities last year, where now it's these guys got to be on the field. This is how it's going to have to be, right? So I think it's overall going to be a good thing, especially with if they didn't have a Tucker Kraft at tight end, I'd be slightly worried with that wide receiver depth. But Tucker Kraft is one of the better wide receiver, tight ends in the NFL. So you still got options. And then, you still got Josh in the backfield. They've actually got some decent depth at running back too. So
yeah,
a guy, Marshawn Lloyd, who they drafted a couple years ago, hasn't even really seen the field.
Right.
So,
yeah, and then you get acquisitions wise, they make the trade to get Zaire Franklin from the Colts. I think that's a good move. Kind of buy low, and he was a very solid player for them when healthy.
Yeah, and you're losing Quay, and it's kind of feels like a lateral move.
Yeah,
you're not really. I don't know if you're getting a ton. Maybe they could get a little bit better, but regardless, you're not getting worse at that position. Essentially.
I think so too. And then they bring in free agency Javon Hargrave, just another pro type defensive lineman. You bring in St. Juice and play corner, who has been up and down in his career, but like has flashed a little bit, so could work. And then a guy like Sky Moore, who's wide receiver, kick returner, good depth, good 4 or 5 receiver behind all those guys.
And they desperately needed a kick returner.
Yeah, special teams have cost you a lot in recent years.
It just, it's not like they had guys back there with like not enough talent to do it, right? It's like, I feel like it's kick return, punt return. If you can pick up a guy that's like specializes in it, it makes sense, right? Like they can be game changers. But it just felt like anybody they put back there fucked up. So I think finally we're just going to get a guy that has proven that he can catch a punt, not do stupid shit on kickoffs, right? Like, and just, so I'm good with that. The St. Juice, I mean, they have to have depth at cornerback. That is definitely a weakness.
Got absolutely decimated by injuries last year.
Decimated, and they didn't have a ton of depth there to begin with. So it was like the one position they could not afford any injuries at was defensive back. And unfortunately, last year they got decimated. And then I would assume, if you're talking about draft, DB is going to be high on the list. That might even be, depending on who's available, their second round pick on Friday. Probably linebacker. They really lack depth there. I mean, it's like, Enigbari is listed as an edge, but he kind of played that, he kind of played linebacker too. And, as crappy as Quay's been, he was younger, right? So it was like, I wouldn't be surprised if the first couple picks of theirs is like DB, linebacker, and then probably maybe even some kind of offensive line is my guess.
Yeah, so we're going to be fishing in the same ponds, I think. So stay away from my guys. I think so too.
Yeah.
I will say, I've tried to pay attention a little bit to the second round since the trade and see who might be there. I'm just like praying that Jacob Rodriguez from Texas Tech is still there for the Bengals in the second. They just need like a solid plug and play linebacker to put in there, and you just got to hope that he plays as well as he did this past season.
And someone like just like a little bit of attitude, you know what I mean? Like that's kind of what I get from him. Like, look, it's just like a position where you kind of have to have it, and it just feels like the Bengals have. Logan Wilson was probably like the one guy, like, okay, he's got like a little ego in the middle there, but like that kind of fizzled out. So it's like, yeah, I really do like him. I loved him at Texas Tech, and I just feels like a guy that someone's going to get to the end of the first round needing a linebacker, and they're just going to like maybe reach for him a little bit, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's my hope. I think there's a lot of attention on wide receiver. It looks like in this first round, there's a lot in the trenches in this draft too.
Yep.
So hopefully that kind of the second level of the defense kind of gets pushed back a little. But without the quarterback depth and interest, I think that always makes it hard to hope for that kind of stuff, because there might be 2 first-round quarterbacks, maybe a third.
Yeah, and the one just got announced that he has a freaking cyst on his spine. So,
who's that?
Garrett Nussmeier.
Okay, he does. Okay.
So he was projected like mid to late first round, and so he was dealing with an oblique injury at LSU this past year.
Mm-hmm.
Never could figure out what it was, and then apparently during his physical at the draft, they found out he had a cyst pinching like a nerve on his back. So they said apparently what I read is they're like, he'll have surgery, he'd be out 2 to 3 weeks. Like, but he's not going to have surgery. I'm like, why wouldn't you just get that done now?
Yeah.
I don't know. It seemed weird. I'm like, okay, if it's not that major of a surgery, it's going to cost you 2 or 3 weeks. So you miss some OTAs, whatever. Or some rookie camp stuff. But it's like, why wouldn't you just get that done now before you get into like actual training camp and stuff?
Yeah, it could be just, I don't think he's probably a guy someone's going to draft to start. It's more like he's going to sit and develop thing. So maybe he's waiting to like get with team doctors and that kind of thing. And my
guess is like when he gets on a team, they're going to be like, all right, you're going to go have this now. Let's just get this out of the way.
Right. Yeah, that's, I think you got anything else on the draft? I mean, it feels like Thursday night's going to be kind of mid.
Little dead. Yeah, it's in Pittsburgh this year. Apparently some things going on with that. The city's trying to like jam 2 years of construction projects into like an 8-month window. Thank God I'm not going, no one's going there that I know of, at least.
Yeah.
Because that sounds like a nightmare. I feel like Pittsburgh's I've never been to Pittsburgh, as crazy as that sounds. The traffic flow seemed very similar to Cincinnati, and that could be a disaster.
Yeah. Okay, so before we move off the draft, say the Packers had the first pick and they don't have Jordan Love. Would you want Mendoza?
I mean, I think you kind of have to, right? Like, I guess I would say yes.
There's a difference between have to and want to, though.
I here's what I say. I would say yes. I think, to me, what he did last year cannot be discounted. Like,
no.
It just can't, right? You can't, I would say yes, I would, for sure. I'd want my team to take him.
I think for me, I'm not, as someone that had a cornball quarterback for a long time, I just am so out on the personality type for my quarterback.
Yeah, I get that too. No, I do get that.
That's my thing with him.
I do understand where you're coming from on that, but he's ultra talented, just kind of feels like he'll do anything to win. I know that sounds crazy, like not everybody's like that, but I don't, if everybody was like that, you'd have a lot more quarterbacks that would succeed in the NFL, and they just don't.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, insane year at Indiana. Can't take any of that away from him, but it's kind of like, was it right place, right time? The Signetti part of it all. Like, it feels like, I don't know, sending him out to Vegas feels tough. I
think of all the teams, right? It's like, he's going to be able to handle Vegas more than any other quarterback probably could, because he's kind of a goofball, like, just very straight laced, and honestly, that's kind of what you want in your quarterback, right? Like, you don't want your quarterback the one that's out of the club, right? Like, you want your quarterback like home by 8:00, going to bed at 8:30 and like waking up at 5. Like, that's what he's going to be. I mean.
That's why I'm blessed with Joe Burrow, because he does that like during the season, but then he's got the edge and the cockiness and the Hollywood to him.
I get that. Yeah, there's something to be said about that too. But yeah, he's definitely a cornball. Like, Mendoza's a cornball for sure. But
yeah,
I think you can't discount what he did last year, and you kind of have to take, like, you have to, and I would want my team to take him if I was in that spot for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm torn. I just look at him and I listen to him and I'm like, man, is he just like a little bit better Andy Dalton is all I can think of.
When you said that, I kind of see that a little bit now, but
yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. Obviously we'll see, but yeah, I wanted to ask that before we moved off the draft is all.
Yeah. No.
All right. That's, man, good to talk ball. We'll see what happens, this weekend, and we'll probably have a little more to talk about with the picks coming in and all that come next Monday. But for now, we will move on to some professional golf. I sadly didn't catch much of Harbor Town this weekend.
I didn't either.
Just kind of felt like a good week to take a week after the Masters we had, and didn't find myself in front of the TV too often. But Matt Fitzpatrick wins in a playoff over Scotty Scheffler. They were both 18 under. It's his second win this season with the Valspar, and then it's also his second at Harbor Town, which I think he'd been asked a while back, like, would you rather win the Masters or, the Heritage, because he loves it so much. And he, at that time, said that. Yeah. Apparently his family vacationed here a lot and all that. So good on him to win. Makes an awesome birdie in the playoff to get it done.
Dude, what a 4-iron. Now, I mean.
Yeah, that hole was a beast on Sunday.
And he said he pulled it, by the way. And that makes sense. He's probably aiming to the green. He probably pulled it a little bit and ended up right at the pin. I mean, that's what an incredible shot with that wind and a 4-iron. Like,
yeah,
just insane.
We got to talk about the tree kick a little bit. I'm sure you saw that, right?
I did, yeah.
Unbelievable break. Hits it. I forget what hole it was. Was it like 15 or something?
I think so, yeah.
Hits it into the trees, left, kicks all the way across the green, catches a piece of the sprinkler head to slow it down just enough from going in the water on the other side, and then gets relief from the sprinkler head and makes the putt for birdie.
Scummy.
Ultimate scummy. That's shot across the bow at our guy Joe, who picked him in our one and done.
Super scummy. I mean,
just, a win is a win, but man, I don't know how you're sleeping at night with that.
I did, yeah. That, I mean, just a horrendous shot, right? Like, just fucking terrible.
Yeah.
And then for like all the balls were running off into the water there. Like 9 of 10 balls would have run off into the water there, and his stops. Truly amazing. Like witch slim, magic or something.
The slim margins you're dealing with in professional golf for sure. Other top 10s and notables here. Obviously Scheffler with the P2 there, losing in the playoff. Still doesn't feel like Scotty Scheffler in all capital letters, but is, second place back-to-back weeks, including a major and a signature event. So can't fault him for that.
And I mean, compared to other years, it's a step back for sure.
Yeah. And despite the fact he's won this year too, still feels off. Siwoo Kim, solo third, kind of him, the three of those guys kind of separated from the field a little bit on Sunday. He's been playing some excellent golf. Feels like the guy who's always like, you're ready to pick him to win, but he just never does it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Siwoo's a good guy. I didn't get to watch all of it, but I saw a couple clips of like, they had outtakes from that like Chasing Sunday that they do now. And it's like apparently really funny. So I'm going to go back and watch this. If nobody's out there seen it, I think PJ Tour, their YouTube or whatever.
I'll have to go. I know what you're talking about. I'll have to go watch it.
Yeah. So that's probably a pretty good watch. T4, Colin Morikawa continues to milk this back injury to top fives. He's up there with Harris English and Ludwig, who shot 63 on Thursday. And I thought we were going to have like a 30 under win this event, and then never got it back on the rails after that.
No, the wind. I mean, that's the thing is like you get on the ocean like that. That wind can pick up in a hurry, and that course with how tight that course is. Ultimately, as soon as the wind picks up, it becomes 4 or 5 shots harder.
Yeah. 7th place finish for Bud Colley. Good for him. That's big points. And
he's back.
He's still there. You can't kill him. And then T8, Ricky Fowler, Kurt Kitayama, Patrick Cantlay, and Gary Woodland, who had an epic eagle hole out on the 18th.
Yeah, dude, what a shot. Again, when you see Scotty do what he did in the playoff, right? Leave it like way short and right.
Yeah.
To know someone like hold that shot out is pretty incredible.
That thing was a heat-seeking missile for the pin. The apex had to be like, I don't know, 40 feet or so. It was a laser.
Still, it's probably up there for one of the best shots of the year so far, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Rest of the board here, T12 for Xander, who feels like he's just like kind of humming along, playing good golf, but not winning or contending too much. Had to shout out Steven Fisk, our guy Jay on the bag, also a T12. That's big money and big points. T25 for Cam Young. T33 for our king, Jordan Spieth, who, after last week not being able to make a putt and striking the shit out of it, comes here and leads the field in putting and can't hit anything to save his life. T52 for Fleetwood. Feels like, he came out, I think had a really bad first round and then righted the ship after that, but struggles it late in the Masters and then struggled early here, so not hard to make of what that means. T69 Max Homa famously was quoted about, talking about the Sergio stuff and damaging the course and slamming clubs and all that, and then absolutely tomahawk chucked an iron. You would have been proud of that one. It was the two-handed.
I saw the club throw.
Yeah, the two-handed full release. You could hear the whooshing in the air of the club. Very, very good form. And then last notable, T77 for JT. Got better every day, but absolutely did not get off the bus. I worry a little bit that maybe he's back too soon.
Yeah, that seemed very quick for him to come back from back surgery.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's hard to know what's shaking off the rust and what's possible injury or who knows what with him. I worry about JT long term though.
I do too.
What I'm going to say, which I hate to say that, but the way his frame, the way he swings it pretty violently. You already have a back injury in here. I don't know.
How sustainable is it? Is the real question.
I worry about that. All right. Anything else on the Heritage?
No, it's a good tournament. I'm saying I didn't get to watch it. It's kind of, the way I was thinking of, I didn't watch a lot of it. I was like, it'd be like watching the NCAA tournament and then someone announcing like, well, after the national championship game, we're going to have another NCAA tournament weekend, like right after.
Yeah.
You just become like kind of over golf watching, like for a little bit. But I do like this tournament. I'm just sad of like the placement of it. It's like,
that's how I am too.
I do enjoy watching this. It's a cool course. It's kind of a different setup than what we usually get. But yeah, it always seems to kind of create a decent finish, though.
Yeah, I almost wish they would flip flop. The event this week is the Zurich, and it's the team event. Like, that would feel much more like a good come down from a major.
Yeah, team event for sure.
Yeah, instead of straight into a signature event on a course I like to watch, but it's like you just said. I mean, we're dads and we got stuff going on. It's hard to be like, hey, I watched the Masters all weekend. Let me just dial up this next tournament.
Yeah, it would feels like it makes more sense to switch those, but also, you're probably looking at Harbor Town. They're like, all right, we can get this tournament out of the way before peak like vacation season, where they probably make a lot of their money.
Yeah.
The
other one other note on Harbor Town too, the whole Brooks thing was pretty funny.
I don't think I saw that.
So he was the first. He wound up being the first alternate for this.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. I did see this. Yeah.
And because of the whole rule they made with him coming back, like it would have also, if he got in, they would have had to add 2 more players in. So he's waiting around to get in, but there's also like 2 other guys waiting around to see if he gets in, so they get in too. Kind of a wild situation.
Yeah, especially seeing his caliber of player like waiting it out.
Yeah.
He probably hasn't done that in 12 years minimum.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. But yeah, that was the Harbor Town RBC Heritage Classic, sorry, is it the Classic RBC Heritage? It's just RBC Heritage.
I think it's just RBC Heritage.
Yeah, sorry. On to the Zurich Classic team event. They do all shot and best ball. This is one I just said I wish they flip flop spots, but I also kind of wish more guys would play in it at the same time.
I agree. Yeah. And it is as dumb of a event it sounds like. This is where we kind of got introduced to like the Ben Griffin run up to being on the Ryder Cup team. Like this is where it all started. Him and Andrew Novak won last year, and then within like a 2-week span, he won again. It's like, and it ultimately got him on his run to get on that U.S. team. So, is kind of a throwaway event as it seems. It's a big deal for some of these guys that are like, what I would call like fringe 100 guys, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The field is set up that way too. I tried to look and pull some interesting groups, and they're honestly like there's just not a lot of the names playing. Griffin and Novak are back to try to defend, but then you've got the Fitzpatrick brothers are playing, both of them winners this week.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. And then Brooks is playing with Shane Lowry. I guess Rory dumped him. So yeah, they're playing together. That's just kind of an interesting. Could be like an all-time like anger team.
Yeah, just bitchy too. Just the bitching that's probably going to go on between those two is just going to be unbearable.
Yeah, Brooks kind of gets like that simmer kind of boil anger going, and obviously Shane's very vocal and
like snippy kind of. Yeah, Brooks is more snippy. Shane's just bitchy. Yeah. I don't know how that might not. I don't know how old shot's going to go with those two, but I guess we'll see.
It could be fun. Then you've got last was an interesting one. Blades Brown and Luke Clanton are playing together.
Love that.
That's fun.
Yes, I do like that. Blades Brown on an ultimate heater right now. He's got like 3 top 3s in the short season so far for the Corn Ferry, and he's like 18 years old, which makes it even crazier. And then Luke Clanton, 2 young studs. It'd be cool to see them kind of actually compete and like maybe try to make a run at it.
Yeah, that's one where I'll be definitely starring in the app and kind of folling along with what they're up to this week.
Maybe a little dabble. Will you dabble with me?
Sprinkle some nuggies on that.
Because you're gonna get some decent odds on that. I think
part of this too is like you got to suss out like which teams of guys are like there to like fucking win and which ones are like kind of hit and giggle.
The Brooks Lowry matchup feels like this is like a trip I can bring my wife on kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It doesn't
Versus,
feel like they don't need the win. Neither of them need the win.
right. That's what I mean. So yeah, I don't mind looking at like, Blades and Luke there. Could be fun.
Yeah, let's dabble. We'll both dabble in it.
All right. We'll dig into that after the episode here, see what the odds are. Last thing on the pro golf agenda, massive news this week about LIV. We don't have to do the blow by blow here, but like in short, it sounds like the PIF is pulling funding potentially by the end of this year, and their CEO Scott O'Neill, whatever his name is adamant that they'll continue to try to fundraise and startup vibes, keep it alive, and all that stuff. But there was all kinds of stuff. There was a point last week where we thought they might not even play Mexico. Like it was that crazy.
Yeah, and I guess it turns out that PIF has funded it through 26.
Yep. They
have the PIF money through 26. The real question mark starts after this year. And it was crazy. So I'm so bad at this. I need to save these but it was I think he writes for golf.com, but he apparently had a discussion like before all this came out, like on Tuesday at the Masters. And he was talking to some guy, like some corporate sponsor, and he was like, I've been hearing rumblings that PIF is going to use the war in Iran as an out for LIV. And then like literally the next week it was like they're using, part of it was that, like they said it was like the economics and like, all this stuff behind the war going on and all this. So that's exactly what ended up playing out. I think he said, he was like, I didn't really take it serious. Like that's no one does that. Right. Like,
yeah.
And then it happened and it was like, oh, there's some validity to what this guy said. So, and then it was announced today that the PGA Tour is exploring alternate avenues for guys to come back. I would be shocked if 27 happens on LIV.
I think so too.
And I don't feel bad for any of the guys other than I feel really bad for that Auburn kid. He felt like what he was doing was the right thing, right? He was taking, and I don't know his family's economic situation or anything like that, but he took the money, skipped out on his Masters invite,
yep.
and went and started playing on LIV, and now he's probably not going to have a home after this year. And that sucks.
That does suck. Yeah, I mean, I don't have much else to add. It's like, it feels weird because it feels like it's been like a part of our lives for a lot longer than it has.
Yeah, what has it only been like 4 years, really? I mean, but before it began to like when they actually started playing.
Yeah, I think they started playing in like 21. Yeah, it was right after COVID, and it's just like the way that it has impacted the golf world in that time frame, like the fracturing of the tours, the money that's happened, and then all of the stuff with your boy Jay Monahan, kind of like his departure on the way out, like what his legacy is from all this, like such like a wild ride, honestly.
Yeah, and it sucks because what it does feel like it's stole to me what it kind of look. I was never one of those like I'm violently against LIV Golf. Like it kind of got to the point where like some of the names are on there. You're like, oh, if there's nothing else on, I'll flip it on like and watch. It's still golf, right? But like to me as a fan, it took away what I feel like it took away some of Phil Mickelson's last couple years that we would have been able to see him on the PGA Tour. It stole Brooks from us for the better part of his prime. It's kind of doing that to John Rahm right now, where it's like, dude's in his prime. Like he should be doing what Scotty's doing, right? Like battling it out every week to win golf tournaments, and it just kind of feels like it stole some stuff from us, which makes me sad. That especially stole it from us, and then now it's just going to be gone, right? Like assumingly going to be gone.
Yeah, I mean, I was a lot more anti-LIV than you were, purely because it was like, I hate to like do like the whole real world part of all this stuff, but like,
oh, there's definitely that to it, right?
It was an exercise in sports washing. Like they were using it as an avenue to cover up some of their own like stuff, and 100%. I say stuff very loosely. and then also as a way for them to get into, more business and all this kind of stuff.
Corporate side of things. Yeah, absolutely.
Saudi Arabia is in sports all over the place. They're in soccer, F1.
F1, majorly in F1. I mean,
Yeah,
I think they've got their hands in almost every team out there, essentially.
Right. So, it's, to them, this was like another kind of item on the ledger and a way for them to access American business and all that kind of stuff. But for us as golf fans, it like you just said, it took a lot of things away from kind of where, Phil had just won a major at 50 years old. Yep. Bryson was fist pumping his drive.
Too. Yeah, I didn't put him in there, but yeah.
Yeah, he's doing the fist pump on Arnold Palmer when he's trying to drive a par 5 green. There's a lot of momentum in golf. Now, there was some bad stuff. The players themselves got a lot from this, obviously, on both sides of the aisle here.
Yeah.
But as fans, it disrupted a pretty cool era of golf that we were entering into.
Yep. Yeah. And you know what I think too, to me, the biggest thing that kind of comes from this is, Piff overpaid these guys, right? Let's call it what it is.
It's not a sustainable business. That's why I'm with you. I don't think it lasts past this year.
It's not, and they overpaid them, and now the PGA Tour is essentially overpaying guys. It was just call it what it is, right? Because if you look at the other stuff Piff's involved in, right, F1, that is popular across the entire world.
Yep.
These guys are on Instagram. They have 180 million followers, like these drivers do, right? Those guys are so exponentially more valuable from a marketing standpoint because of the worldwide view of the sport. Same with soccer, right? Soccer's the same way. I think it's 5 of the top 10 most followed people on Instagram are soccer players. You know, so it's so what they saw is we just throw money in it. Now, in those sports, they get their money back, right? That is a profitable way to, invest your money with those, the marketing pieces as far as people go in those sports. Golf, as popular as it has become, is nowhere close to F1 in popular worldwide, right? And nowhere close to soccer worldwide, right? As far as popularity. Maybe in the U.S. it's more popular here, but worldwide, not even close to those two other sports. So when you put that there, it's you kind of had an idea. It was this is not going to last forever. Even if they stayed involved, it was there was no way it was going to be at the rate that they were doing currently.
Yeah. The other thing too that it did was it created this signature event model, right? Where it's you've talked about it before, the ladder pulling and all that kind of stuff. It created more of a closed system, and it's great. We have, more of the top guys playing against each other more often for sure. But we've also lost quite a bit of the rags to riches type stories, right? The random kind of guys that come up and win out of nowhere that have grinded mini tours and all that. That stuff's kind of gone away too. So you've lost a little bit of the magic.
Yeah, well, and that's part of it. That is now on the PGA Tour side is they've taken cards away. Q School doesn't actually get you on the PGA Tour. It only gets you on the Corn Ferry Tour. Things have gotten taken away that made some of the best stories in golf because they had to make room to pay guys not to go to LIV, right? By offering equity and offering higher payouts at tournaments and things like that. So, yeah, it's just an all-around disappointing. It took a lot away from us and people that are involved in the sport that are those fringe guys that kind of, I think of it this way. Tom Lehman, right? Yeah. Noted traveler, played on mini tours and all this stuff. In today's world, would we even have gotten to seen him? Probably not. Honestly, probably not. So I just wonder how many names it's kind of taken away from us in storylines and stuff like that. We'll probably never know. So
yeah. And then last thing is shout out your boy Ryan French, who was the one that kind of busted the story wide open on a Twitter space of all places.
He's my favorite golf journalist, even though I wouldn't think he deems himself a journalist, for the record.
No, he covers the sport for sure, and he does a lot of good work for, like we said, telling the stories of guys you wouldn't hear about otherwise. So
Yep.
All right, I think we're motoring through. We're moving to the patio already.
I'm
We
going to
got
go
patio
for
weather coming.
Yeah, we do. Well, I shouldn't say finally. We kind of got spoiled there for a little bit.
We did.
7 or 8 days of 70, 80-degree weather, and then 2 days of 50 felt like a absolute punishment. But we're back tomorrow for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go first. And I joked about this with you guys. I was like, the bottle beer thing is like growing on me.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe it's me maturing a little bit. And it like I was like thinking this. I'm like, obviously that's a joke, but is there something you do now where you like, or maybe you started doing and you kind of got in the groove of doing it where you're like, yeah, maybe I'm growing up a little bit?
Oh man. Yeah, I mean, I think one of the first things I noticed with this was, as we've gone along in our lives, and you just level up, right? Like you make more money, you get higher paying jobs, whatever. You kind of grow up a little bit that way,
or you're like forced into it, like kids. You kind of
right.
you have to level up, right? Like personal growth, career growth, or whatever.
Yeah. So I think there's two things that stood out lately to me. One is like buying better groceries, like better ingredients and stuff, because we cook a lot, and like you get out of the habit when you first got your own house and you're not making as much money and stuff. You're buying all kinds of frozen stuff and like bulk things and like whatever. So buying fresh stuff and like cooking different recipes and things like that. I think that's one that stands out. But this year is, when we moved into this house, the people before us, they had somebody service the lawn, take care of the lawn, and all that stuff. Not cut the grass, but like treat it and all that. And so we kept that up because like, oh, I don't want it to get bad. So like, we'll keep doing it. We had some bad luck the last couple of years with the companies we were with, and it didn't work out. So this year I decided to kind of take it in my own hands. And so I've done like all the weed and feed. I've done the fall treatment, the spring treatment, all that stuff. And I was out in my yard the other day and I was like, this shit looks good. And I was just like, am I dad now? Like I'm the old man that's like proud of his lawn all of a sudden.
That is especially you doing it yourself. Like to me, so that was one of mine was like the lawn, but like I've never had a lawn care company.
Yeah.
I kind of like the weather's going to determine how good of a lawn I'm going to have this year kind of thing. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Last year our lawn got dude, we had so many weeds in it. And I was like, this looks like shit. We've got people around us that like immaculate, like not like just good yards, but they're like perfect.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like we just can't do this anymore. And I did look at it doing it myself. Man, I was like, it got to the fall last year and I was just like, this is more work than I'm prepared to put into this. So I actually ended up hiring somebody to come out and do it. And maybe this is part of me, the older me coming out. Like I called like 10 different companies. I'm comparing what they do and all this and like asking questions. So that was one of mine, but I'm like, all right, I'm finally going to like splurge and get we aerated last fall, did the fall treatment. Yeah, they came out and did the spring treatment. And I will tell you, it's looking like anywhere where we were at, it was a very low bar, but like it looks like the grass is a little greener.
Yeah.
Like there's still some dead spots where the weeds were that we got to fill in with some overseed and stuff like that. But like all in all, I'm like, damn, dude, this like looks like I can kind of see like the best patch of grass, like probably 10-foot square grass we have in our entire yard. I'm like, fuck, dude, that looks good. Like it's kind of like wisping in the wind and stuff. Like I'm like, it does look good.
Yeah, we've got I don't mean to put people on blast, but a couple of the houses around us, big time dandelions and stuff this year, right? And so we'll go on a family walk or whatever, and we're walking up to the houses and we kind of see it and we see our yard. And I just kind of nudge Susie a little bit. I'm like, hey, look at that.
Yeah. Look at those peasants down there with the dandelions in their yard.
Yeah. So that's definitely one of them for sure that stands out to me.
My other one was the fact that I've like started cooking.
Yeah.
Like I would have, dude, up until like this year, I'm like, I hated doing it. But now I'm like, I work from home more. I can kind of like be here and like start dinner at a decent time rather than like come home and it's like oh my God, it's 6:00, like 6:30. We haven't started dinner yet. That's what always got daunting. It was like come home and it's like, fuck, dude. It's like it's already 6:00. Like we haven't eaten dinner yet, kind of thing. So like the fact that I'm like unconsciously like trying not to eat out. Like we eat out way less than we do now, or like we used to. Like not that we did it a lot, but like generally, like if even with all the sports we have going on right now, it's like it's maybe once a week, maybe, and that's like because we're all in like 5 different places, right? And there's like no chance to even cook at home when you got to leave by 5:15. So that's kind of I was like, part of me is like, damn, like I'm growing up a little bit here, like cooking and like making sure we don't eat out as much. And because again, I think when you are younger though, it's like, dude, fuck it. I'm just like, go down to Chipotle, like get just like, this is dinner tonight, especially when you don't have kids. You're like, this is our dinner tonight, kind of thing or whatever. So yeah, I think it is like money wise, it's a little expensive, but, and I'll be honest, I had an epiphany literally Sunday. We went out to lunch with my parents and go to this Mexican restaurant. I will leave the name out because I love the place. It just like kind of hit me. And like we ate lunch and it was $96.
I know.
And I'm like, dude. And now that like I do a lot of the grocery shopping and like I'm buying our meals because I'm doing a lot of the cooking, like I'm like, dude, like $96 would literally buy my family like 5 or 6 meals for the week.
Yeah.
And now we just like it's one meal. Like for an hour, it was $96. I was like, this is, and to me, it's kind of makes me sad because I'm like, this is not sustainable for the restaurant industry.
No,
because like I might be early in the process, but like people that are habitual eating out people are eventually going to be like, dude, we just can't spend $400 a week eating out.
No, it sucks for, like you said, the restaurant business. Like their margins are thin to begin with, so like they almost always have to pass their costs off onto the consumer. So it's just a vicious cycle of like,
especially non-chain places, which is what we were at, right? Yeah. Like it's like they definitely had like, McDonald's can maybe get away with like the amount of food they're buying and stuff like that. They can kind of get away with cheaper prices, but like these mom and pop places, it's like I want to support them, but man, it's like $100 to feed a family of 5. It didn't get anything crazy, no alcoholic drinks, nothing like that. It was $96.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I just thought of a couple other things while we were talking. One is like I've caught myself sharing things from like my childhood more with my kids. And it's like, this is a dumb example, but I took Zach to school the other day, and I was like, I don't know, for whatever reason, kind of in like a pop punk kind of music mood or whatever. And so I threw on Panic at the Disco. I forget what the name of the album is. A Fever You Can't Sweat Out is the name of the album. I think it's like their first one. One, I realized that album now has a 20th anniversary edition.
Insane.
And two, I found myself talking to Zach about like it. I had that CD in my car, which at the time was a 1989 Dodge Caravan that my grandfather bought me at a garage sale for $150. And then me and my dad, because this thing didn't even have a CD player yet, put in like a new sound system and stuff into it. So I'm telling about like the first car and like my I would listen to the CD on my way to my first job and like all this stuff. So I'd find myself like truly like old man, like sharing my stories of like, my youth or whatever with my kids. So that happened. And the other thing related to the lawn stuff is like, I used to kind of dread like housework stuff, like taking care of shit and like stuff breaks or like trying to fix something, whatever. And now it's like, I find myself like looking forward to like working on the house and like, making it more of like our space and like adding on and making it better. So like that's definitely been a real shift in my life too.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you said that. You're like sharing things from your childhood. So this weekend, I'm going to hold this up. So me and my oldest, we went through probably, gosh, I don't know. I want to say 5,000 different cards.
Oh my God.
These are all the ones we kind of packed up into like top loaders that were like, okay, like these have some value to them. So we did that. And I offered her a 7% stake in anything I sell. for her work. She did not realize how, that sounds like so much money, and I sold a card today for like $4. I think she made 42 cents.
Yep.
And I told her, and she was like, well, let me have my dollar. I'm like, I'll get your coins when we get home. Like, she's like, what? She's like, I don't even want it anymore. I'm like, okay, well, fair enough. You're surrendering all 7% on anything that's sold from here. Well, I didn't say that. I just didn't want the 42 cents. I'm like, that. So I offered a 7% stake. We packed up, I don't know, probably 600 cards and top loaders.
Jeez.
Went through probably close to 5,000 baseball and football cards. And I think she started having fun with it. I started telling her stories. So we came across a Bobby Bonilla card and I was like, oh, oh, Bobby Bonilla Day. I was like, I think this is actually, it was either last year or this year's the last year for Bobby Bonilla Day. I want to say it might have been last year was the last payout he got. And she was like, what's Bobby Bonilla Day? So I had to explain to her, like, well, they took his contract and they said they're just going to pay him $1.5 million or $1 million for the next like 30 years rather than paying out his actual contract in one lump sum. And she was like, so I was telling her stories and, you come across some Reds cards and it's like, it was cool in the end, even though I had to give up a stake in my cards for help. So
there you go. Good moments though with the kids. That's always nice. Yeah, really good question. Mine, I think, is tangential to this conversation a little bit. So, again, working on the house stuff. We last year really invested in the patio. We've been, doing furniture this year, and decided we were going to put up some string lights. Okay. I tried to do this what I thought was like the easy way by buying some metal stakes or poles or whatever you put in the ground. String lights too, right?
That was your first mistake.
Yeah. So first mistake was that. Second mistake was I didn't buy like the line, steel line to like string them on. Try to just hang them. That was obviously not going to work out. They sag like crazy. Well, we get that, and I'm like, all right, sick. This line is going to make the huge difference. We're going to be fine. I'm obsessed with this. I want to get it done. So Friday night, I'm like out there trying to do it because the line came from Amazon. Stringing them all up, doing the whole thing, whatever. Got the metal post in the ground. I'm like, all right, we're going to do this. Get them up there, start to tighten the line. These poles just like progressively bend and bend and bend and bend. And the note on the front end of this was, Susie telling me like, look, you should just get the 4x4s, put them in concrete, put them in the, the planters, do the whole thing. I'm like, no, these poles are going to be great. We're going to be fine. It's going to be awesome. So I get them up there, and these things are like, look like they were in a hurricane. They're bending like crazy. I'm like, well, so long story short, Susie's right. Wife is right. I get out there. I do the posts. I've got them out there right now. They're almost done curing. I'll be able to, hopefully successfully string the lights tomorrow or Wednesday. But my question is, when is the last time you had to look at your wife and say and admit that she was right?
Well, coming from someone that bats like 990, 99999 repeating. Oh man, that's a good question. I'm trying to remember. I'm this is not cocky. I'm right about a lot of stuff.
Man.
I really am. I think it was probably, so we have a minivan. One of the doors, this was 3 years ago. One of the doors like just had a malfunction, and every time like you go to close it, it would beep and stop, right?
Yeah.
Not because anything was in the way. That was like the safety feature for like if like a hand's in the way or someone gets in the way of the door, it stops immediately. It doesn't just continue to shut.
Yep.
Coming from someone that's had their hands slammed in an old minivan door, very appreciative of that safety mechanism. However, I kept telling him, like, it's under warranty, just go get it fixed. I'm eventually going to do it. Like 2 weeks passed by. She's in a hurry. She parks in the garage and, not really, dealing with kids and stuff like that. Wasn't really paying attention. Well, that door stopped. She goes to back out of the garage, catches her door on the garage, and bends the door in.
Oh.
We had to, when I say we had to finagle this thing out of the garage, like because we couldn't close the door, and
Yeah.
it barely fits. Like her car, with how this door bent, it no longer so we had to like inch out, like side out, like
You're
to
pulling
get
like
the
the
car
Austin
out.
Powers forklift, just like
Exactly. That's exactly what we had to do. And so I would say that's the biggest one for sure. I don't know if it's most recent, but the biggest one was like, I told you, like, I had a feel. I really, what I thought was like, she's going to be driving down the road and like stuff was going to start falling out of the car, because she didn't even know it was open.
yeah.
But this was definitely worst case scenario. But that's the biggest one I remember being right, like blatantly correct.
Yeah. So I will say TBD on if she's actually right, because I need these things to hold up against the strength of the line and the lights. But I think we'll be good.
Coming from someone that has those in his backyard and did that, it definitely there's definitely some problem solving ahead for you.
Oh, great. Not what I
It's not
wanted to
just
hear.
like you put those things in, it's like they're done. Like you got to find the places to put them in.
Yeah.
That so they don't, because these will just, instead of bending over, they'll just
Tip over.
fall over.
Yeah, I mean, I think in theory, should be good. I've got lots of weight in those bad boys. We bought some really big pots. They've got, about 60 pounds of cement and then also rock in them too. So each one's probably close to 100 pounds, if not.
So you probably did a little better. I think I bought too small of planters. I wish I would have probably bought bigger planters. You're probably doing it the right way.
We'll find out. They look really good. And damn it if I, shout out to my sister-in-law, Julie, who had the patience to bear with me as I tried to level these things, because I'm way too much of a perfectionist. So those things are dead nuts level, which is awesome. So we'll see how they hold up.
It's hard with concrete, man. Like that's, as soon as you think it's like drying, you're like, all right, I can walk away. And it starts kind of like doing barely doing one of these. You kind of have to, coming from someone that just put a brand new mailbox in, is like, I stand there way longer than I have to like make sure it's like, all right, I think I can actually go now. You know what I mean? Like walk away from it.
Yeah, I got them properly braced and everything too. So that's, they're staying strong, but I'll report back next week on if the lights were effective or not. We'll see. But yeah, I had to pull the old, yes, you're right, honey. I'm sorry.
Well,
I'm
at least
stupid, you're smart.
At least yours seems a little less expensive than mine. So
I mean, when looking back, like I had this thought in my head, like it would take way more time, it'd be more expensive. This shit was way easier and it was cheaper than the stupid.
It really wasn't. It's not a hard process, right? Like It's not. It just feels like very daunting when you get kind of like ready to do it. You're like, damn, dude. There's like, I got concrete. I got these like, these wood planks laying around. You're like, holy shit! How am I going to do this?
Yeah. Anytime you start talking, like I don't mind doing stuff myself. It's fine. But I do get a little uneasy about anything that's like a finished job or a finish. Like I hate doing drywall because it's like, man, I'm going to know the imperfections if I don't do this right.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Same thing with this. It's like, they got to be level. The concrete's got to be in there right. Like all, it's 10-foot 4x4s. Like they're huge pieces of wood. Like it feels daunting, but to anybody out there thinking about this, go for it. Cause they do
look really good though when they're done.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll report back next week. You all will know. Justin, I'll shoot you a text, be like, hey, thumbs up or thumbs down. So
oh God.
But yeah. All right, good episode. Talk some ball, talk some golf, little house
always
family
feels
stuff.
Good to get back into football talk.
I know. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the draft. Thursday night will be weird, like I said, without a pick, but I'll still be watching and looking forward to next Monday when we can talk about our new draft hauls.
Yeah. Of names that no one are going to know because we don't have first round draft picks this year. So. Yeah.
And I'm sure I'll be convinced of how it's going to fix every problem on the team too.
Yeah. Until they never see the field. That's always the best part. You're like, all right, let's fill in a void, this and that. And it's like, they don't even make the 52-man roster. It's like, all right.
Tough. All right, everybody. Thank you all for listening. Please subscribe, rate, and review the show. Follow us on social media at Back96Pack. Enjoy the good weather if you got it where you're at. Enjoy the draft. Enjoy the team event this weekend.
Yeah.
Maybe get out and play some golf yourself,
Hopefully. I'm hoping.
We're close. All right. Well, until next time, everybody. Cheers.
See ya. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Back 9 Six Pack. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Back 9 Six Pack for all your content needs. We'll see you guys next week. Cheers.